For the past 20 years, Israel has been preparing for the possibility of striking Iran's nuclear facilities, but it has never got the green signal from the United States. Israel has conducted a number of military exercises to refine its capability for a long-range strike with drills simulating the bombing of key Iranian nuclear infrastructure. 2 years ago, Israeli fighter pilots conducted an exercise to practice long-range flights and aerial refueling, the two most critical things that determine the success while attacking distant targets like Iran. That exercise served not only to intimidate Iran, but was also intended as a message to the United States that Israel was willing to act alone if necessary. But it is pretty obvious that success is far more likely with American assistance, especially with the 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs which the Americans have in their arsenal, and also the diplomatic cover Washington could provide to deal with the fallout of the attack. In the midst of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, Israel's leadership, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, they face questions about whether to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, especially after nearly 200 ballistic missiles were fired at Israel. Despite warnings from US President Joe Biden and Defense Secretary Lloyd to avoid targeting Iran's nuclear sites, which could actually lead to a broader war, hardline factions, the far-right factions within the Israeli governing coalition, they want to go after Tehran's nuclear program. Biden has emphasized that any retaliation against Iran should be proportionate, meaning not to strike Iranian nuclear facilities, even as he tries to prevent the conflict from spiraling into an all-out regional war. However, Israeli hardliners argue that with Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza weakened completely, Israel has a unique opportunity and, more importantly, the perfect window to cripple Iran's nuclear capabilities and delay its weapons program for several years. Yet many experts, including American defense officials, they warn that a military strike may not achieve Israel's stated objectives. While a successful strike might damage Iran's nuclear infrastructure, it is unlikely to destroy or dismantle it completely, and a semi-successful strike would force Iran's program further underground, making it harder to target in the future. It could also spur Iran to accelerate its nuclear weapon plan. Although Iran officially denies pursuing nuclear weapons, its production of uranium, which is enriched to 60%, that is just below weapons grade, it has increased in recent months. According to experts, Iran now possesses enough material for several nuclear bombs, and enriching uranium to weapons grade levels could take only a few days. A key challenge for Israel is its limited ability to destroy Iran's deeply fortified nuclear sites. While Israel may be able to target the Natanz nuclear enrichment facility in the Isfahan province, which is buried beneath the desert, it lacks the capability to destroy heavily fortified sites like the Fordo facility. Fordo is located deep within a mountain, and it appears safe from conventional airstrikes, especially since Israel does not possess the bunker-busting bombs needed to penetrate such deep reinforced structures. For many years, Israel has requested these bunker-busting bombs from the United States, but multiple US administrations, including the Biden administration, Trump, Obama, and Bush, all of them have denied these requests. While the US advocates caution to Israel, it is also worried about Iran's intentions. American Secretary of State Antony Blinken recently spoke about some reports which suggest that Russia might be providing Iran with the technical assistance needed to advance its nuclear program. In exchange, Iran has been supplying military drones and other equipment to Russia to bolster its war effort against Ukraine. This arrangement has in fact led to concerns that Moscow's support could accelerate Iran's path towards nuclear weapons capability. At the same time, Iran may be feeling increasingly vulnerable with Hezbollah suffering heavy losses and Hamas significantly weakened. Iran's reliance on these two groups, which it has been supporting for many years now, as deterrence against Israel, may be diminished. Some analysts suggest that Iran could view nuclear weapons as the ultimate security guarantee, similar to the strategy adopted by North Korea, which has managed to develop nuclear weapons despite international opposition. And North Korea has been so far safe from attacks. In Israel, there is also a growing anxiety about time running out to stop Iran's nuclear ambitions. Historically, Israel has preemptively targeted nuclear facilities in hostile nations, such as the destruction of the Osirak reactor in Iran in 1981 and the Syrian reactor in 2007. Both of these strikes were conducted before the reactors become operational. However, the current situation with Iran is far more complex, as its nuclear program is already advanced and has expanded into strong underground facilities. Israeli experts fear that once Iran's new enrichment centers are operational, it may be too late to prevent Tehran from acquiring nuclear weapons. Given these realities, Israel faces a difficult decision. Military action against Iran's nuclear facilities could delay Iran's progress, but it risks igniting a wider war and might not achieve the desired long-term outcome. Diplomacy, sanctions, and covert operations, such as the infamous Stuxnet cyber attacks that sort of temporarily disrupted Iran's nuclear program, have historically been used to slow Iran's progress. But these measures may no longer be sufficient. So ultimately, the question remains whether Israel will seize the opportunity to strike while it still has some military advantage, or continue to rely on diplomatic pressure and international cooperation to contain Iran's nuclear ambitions. With Benjamin Netanyahu at the helm, it is difficult to predict the future of what Israel will do on this sensitive issue.